Cool. Hi guys, good to see you.
Hey Sam.
Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, so I'm Danny. I'm 29 years old, so
Yeah.
I'm originally from Prague, Czech Republic, and I moved to London 5 years ago now.
Great.
And I'm Ruth Johnson, now Ruth Lyda Johnson, officially changed the name a few weeks ago. I'm 30, and yeah, I've lived in England all my life.
And when were you guys matched, blessed, and about?
Right, we've been matched since 2011, and then a year after we went to the blessing, 2012.
Oh, same
Korea.
here.
Yeah.
Hey,
Same,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, so we're just gonna go through a few different questions about your experience with the matching, with the blessing. First question, I guess, is, at what age, you were saying, of course, 2011, what age were you when you were going through the matching process? And how did that kind of start?
I think I was like around 19 when I started to think about it more seriously. But then it was just a thought, and I was still quite scared. It's all a bit like a black hole. You kind of don't want to think about it, but you know it's imminent. But I think I was around the age of like 20 is when I approached my parents more seriously and said, I'd like to go for this. If you could do your thing, i.e. conditions, I'll do my thing, i.e. conditions, and we'll meet somewhere in the middle. Yeah. So I was around 20, I think, when I spoke to my parents.
Yeah, similar for me as well. I've been thinking about since 16, 17, and but then after I finished my high school, college, then I approached my parents that I'm kind of ready, and you can start kind of looking for someone. And then also personally, same as Ruth, I did a lot of conditions, also maybe as well with parents, and kind of try to unite with my parents so they know what kind of I expect from the candidate, from the match.
Yeah.
And also they know me as well, what kind of characteristics I have.
Was it kind of a little bit awkward starting that conversation? I know that's like, let's sit down and have the talk, kind of thing. I don't know.
It's a lot of trust you put in your parents to pick your future and forever partner. So yeah, it's definitely, as a teenager, I never thought it was possible, basically, that my parents would pick my husband. It was like a nightmare situation. But you kind of work on your relationship and get to a point of, you're always going to bicker sometimes and not get along. But overall, we were at a better place, and I felt like they knew who I was. And also you communicate with them, so it's not like they're just plucking someone out of obscurity and saying, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But, you talk to them, and it's a whole process.
So how did you, that's really interesting, because how did you get up to that stage where you felt like you had the level of faith in the blessing, trust in your parents, or courage even yourself to make that step, to get into that conversation, to start that process? I don't know, how did you get to that stage?
Yes, I think, we kind of raised through the workshops, and we've been taught principle, to go through the 3 great blessings, so first is the first blessing, to just focus on your character. Yeah. And naturally second is building family, and that kind of, I started to prepare myself into that direction in age of 19, 20. And I think my parents were somehow, waiting for me when I approached them. So they kind of naturally expect, me to take the first initial step. And
so they kind of gave you that freedom. They weren't trying to pressurize you.
Yeah.
Danny, we need an answer. Kind of tell us.
I definitely didn't feel pressured by parents. So it was, I think, really good thing.
Better, right?
Yeah, that was really good for me. Yeah.
And that's workshops and that kind of thing were almost like a foundation, if you like.
Yes, absolutely.
Internally,
also kind of getting friends and kind of understand brothers and sisters relationship, as well as kind of in my family as well.
So your relationship with sisters and developing your maturity or that kind of thing.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it was quite a natural process for me in that direction.
Was it the same with you, Ruth? What was the kind of preparation? What was the best kind of preparation, do you think?
Again, similar to Danny, on workshops you'd hear testimonies from older second gen who'd been through the matching process, and I remember like being quite, I don't know how old I was a teenager when it first started to be a kind of a parent matching scenario situation. It was always like true father, and it was always quite scary.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There was that switch, wasn't
Yeah,
there? Where it was
exactly.
like, okay.
Yeah, and so it's something that as girls we spoke about a lot. We used to play the matching game where you'd pull out a guy's name and a girl's name and you'd match.
Hold on.
And like sleepovers.
What is this?
On
Okay.
sleepovers and stuff.
Did
And I was
not
like,
know
oh
about
no,
this.
I got him. But
Oh,
yeah, no,
okay.
anyway, yeah, but like, so it was something we spoke about a lot, maybe in a more kind of gossipy, kind of girly way. But yeah, my parents did actually ask me, like when I was around like 18, 19, oh, are you thinking about it? And they're like, Daddy, don't talk to me about that. Oh, yuck, you know, and it's, oh, it's a bit cringy. But I was like, I'll talk to you when I feel up to it. And so they kind of patiently waited, probably praying really hard in the background. But, yeah.
Okay. Because so you both had a similar situation where your parents are actually sort of waiting for you to approach them when you felt ready.
Yeah.
And you think that's a much better way than perhaps parents going and being like, you know, time to get matched kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my parents weren't pushy about it. It's just them saying, look, if whenever you want to go forward with this, just let us know.
Yes.
Basically.
So like the door is open.
Yeah, maybe I needed to hear that. Maybe some people need to hear that like the parents are at least thinking about it, or it's in they're thinking about it and it's in their mind.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think it works to be overly pushy at all. I think if anything, it makes people run away. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Very much.
Very true.
I guess the next question would be, when you guys were introduced, I mean, were you matched? Well, first, how were you introduced, and then when you were introduced, how was it getting to know each other?
Yeah, I think it was parent matching, obviously, and
Is that through the website or
through-
what was the means?
They're a correspondent. Yeah.
Okay, I mean intermediary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the way how my parents chose to introduce Ruth picture to me was day after my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Kind of, yeah. I was just in my room, you know, playing computer games, and they called me up to go to the living room, and they put a cloth over the laptop screen, so they covered the screen and like, oh, we have someone for you, you know, we would like to introduce you to someone. It's like, I'm just still in the mind of like gaming, you know. Like,
is this a new game? New video game?
Yeah. So they uncovered, and then the Ruth picture came up, and I was standing there a little bit
stunned.
Probably still thinking about the paused game next door.
Yeah, so it took a while, just a moment to kind of sink in what's actually happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like my parents just started to talk. Yeah, she's doing this and that. She likes cooking, and she's a really good cook. She's doing graphic design degree and all these kind of practical things. And for me, at that moment, I just it wasn't really kind of important to me. I just kind of look at the picture and kind of try to get kind of understand what kind of person she is. Then all these kind of external things.
Sure. And how did you get to start to know each other then, Ruth, when you were, introduced and this is Danny?
I mean, we met, didn't we? Like shortly after that, because Danny was going to be going off to some university, and so he had like one day to meet me. So it was all very quick, and I felt like it was important to meet face to face rather than try long distance as a first introduction, just to kind of gauge who each other was. So Danny came down for the day. We met in Notting Hill Gate. Outside the Yellow Book shop.
Notting Hill.
Yeah, I know.
You're romantic.
No, it wasn't.
There's Danny Hugh Grant-esque, sort of like, kind of.
Now, yes. But yeah, anyway.
Weren't you sort of like quite aware of what Danny was wearing, and like you're like, I don't know.
Let's just say the jeans fit has altered quite dramatically since the years have gone on. But no, yeah.
Okay.
I was a bit more superficial back then, I'd say. Yeah.
And how did that process evolve as you started to get to know each other more?
I mean, when I met Danny straight away, I kind of felt like I was kind of to myself thinking, God, like I get it, like I know why you think this guy's good for me, because I know I'll have to really work on myself. And I could see how us being together would help me change and grow. And like, so I knew from the get-go, it wasn't like I fell in love with him. It was just like, he's compatible with me if I'm willing to put my neck out and if I'm willing to work on my bad habits. Like that's how I felt.
Yeah.
And then, so I kind of knew from the very beginning. So that's why the whole rest of the day I was really like on edge, because I knew this is the guy, basically.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, after that we communicated, like, didn't we? Online.
I mean, when I left to Korea, we used, the 21st century tool, technology, internet,
Good old Skype.
Skype, Facebook, emails, all kind of means of communication tools. And I think that was really important for long distance relationship to keep in touch with one another. And but shortly after we realized that the technology hits its limit.
There's a limit, yeah.
You can't really express
Lots
as
of
you are
misunderstanding.
in the present.
That's the thing, the long distance, right? It takes you a certain limit, right? But then it's really, you need to be living in the same space.
It's
to go
useful,
further.
but it's not a replacement.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So probably long distance for too long is not a good idea.
Yeah, I
right?
agree. Yeah.
Yes.
But when it finally came to then, well, how long were you in this process first, whilst you were sort of communicating, getting to know each other before signing matching papers?
I think it was quite. It wasn't too long. It
Okay.
was, I think, a couple of weeks.
I agreed within a week, actually.
Wow,
personally.
okay.
You decided,
And then you were in Chongpyeong at the time.
So I was, in hardcore conditions,
So
in
it's just
Chongpyeong
quite quick then, isn't it,
workshops.
actually, compared to maybe some
Yeah.
people?
So we kind of both felt in heart that that's the right person, and also all these kind of little things like that. Just before my flight to Korea, I could come here and meet her. That was one of the conditions I had, because as we've mentioned, it would be a little bit different to just get to know other person just based on Facebook and Skype.
And to make that big decision.
Yeah,
He's away for a
absolutely.
year,
So what was it then, when you came down to that moment, you had to sign the papers, you had to commit? What was it that allowed you to make that decision? Or what was the turning point there for that decision that you feel like, yes, this is good, this can work, this is perhaps God is involved here, or how did you view it?
I mean, like I mentioned, I knew from the beginning, like within like an hour of meeting him, and that sounds very strange, and when I talk about it out loud, it does sound a bit, I don't know, a bit voodoo, a bit like, ooh. But and so for me, it was just about making that decision. So I already knew from the beginning, and I came home and I like had a big cry. I don't know why. I was just very overwhelmed because I knew, I don't know, like I really felt like Danny was good for me. Again, it wasn't like this like falling head over heels. In fact, I didn't even register if he was good looking or not. It was very strange when I saw the picture and when I met him. It wasn't like he's handsome or he's this. It wasn't like that. It was just like he's my husband. And it was so. Then I spent this week, and it was a very strange week, in which I had some very strange dreams, and it was this very bizarre week in which I felt like everything was quite static, and I was moving so slowly. And I knew I'm the kind of person who I often I take the easy way out. So I knew by saying yes to Danny, I would have to really challenge myself and work on myself a lot. And so I was biding my time, basically. But I knew that I should say yes. I should, but I didn't have to. And so I was like weeding out this week. Because I'm a bit of a chicken all the time. I'm an escape artist. I like the comfy road. I'm a bit of a hedonist. So I wanted to run away at times. I was like, nah, let me get out of here. So it took me a week. But then I called my parents up and I was like, do you know what? All I said was like, yes. And then I like hung up.
Really?
Yeah.
So dramatic.
I know.
Yes.
And apparently my mum jumped on the sofa and ran around the living room or something. But yeah, so for me it took a week. But then when I then called Danny and said, I'm happy to go through with this, then what did he say?
I wanted to, take it a little bit more.
Just to run outside and scream and shout hallelujah. No, sorry.
I was, in Chongpyeong, part of 40-day workshop there, and I just wanted to kind of more, maybe to more pray about it, to more kind of really digest this big decision. I think it's one of the biggest decisions in your life, essentially. And I'm a person who, when I commit to something, I don't like to take it back. So that's why. But inside of me, it was already kind of committed, and I just wanted to confirm it.
Yeah, it's very much our characters. Like, I'm the kind of person who says things like, however I feel it right there and then, oh, it's a gut feeling. Danny's the kind of person who'll really bide his time, and like, yeah, that's why it's just funny hearing this now. Because at the time I was like, I'm ready to go for this, and he was like, I need more time. And I was like, it's fine. How dare he reject me? I was like, I'm too good for him anyway, you know, like. So yeah, I think it was good because it showed me that he was serious. So,
yeah. But do you feel like when making those kind of decisions, maybe for other people out there who are thinking about making that big decision, they're in the process, or even going forward, just deciding to get matched, there are some kind of fundamentals that you should share with a potential match before you make that decision to commit?
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I think about my experience or other young unificationists I know going through matching process, often the case is that if you share similar values and like an understanding what the blessing is, an understanding of how to build a blessed family, or living a life of faith, believing in God, or sharing a similar dream where you want to contribute to society, those things are like the foundational block perhaps that you can stand upon for then your relationship going forward. I don't know, I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's very true. I think the candidates or young unificationists, they should share kind of their level of faith, and kind of they have similar understanding about family life, how many children, when they should start having children, also where they should live, which country, where they should settle down, and also level of faith, like in our movement, how their spiritual life as well. So if they are kind of on the similar level, I think that's good tip to kind of understand.
Because I always felt like sometimes if you're on quite different levels, the candidates in terms of faith or their vision for the future, then there can potentially be difficulties, because those are the things that perhaps are difficult to change, like,
it's true,
or take a longer time to change, right, with your fundamentals, your values.
I mean, I think faith sometimes comes in waves. Like, it's normal, like, if you're on a similar level to kind of sometimes other person, oh, no, come on, let's go to church, all right, and then let's do a condition, and you kind of together, kind of like, bit by bit, kind of climb that mountain or whatever. But, like, if there's a big contrast, I feel like it's quite hard for this person to continually keep trying to, like, or it ends up, very often it ends up that happening. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying some people are better than others, but if there's a big shift in kind of a level of faith or understanding, then I feel like it can be quite difficult. It's doable, but it's difficult, I would say.
So that should be considered
I think so,
when making that commitment, right?
And then also things like, it's always good to talk about, like, like big visions or big dreams, because I think otherwise later on, when especially if you're like caught up in that kind of lovey-dovey phase, you don't think about those things sometimes, because you're riding this kind of like, rainbow fairyland wave, But then when it comes down to that can be the deal breaker. If, say, for example, they're like, well, I don't want to live where you want to live, and I don't want this or that, then it can feel like you suddenly don't know each other anymore. Or unless one person's really willing to compromise or sacrifice, and you can become a bit resentful if you're having to sacrifice big things that you feel quite strongly about. So I think it's good to talk about those things as well.
And perhaps before making an emotional investment, right? Yeah. Getting those things really clear, right? Okay, well, how about, just a couple more questions left. How did you deal with like misunderstandings or these struggles when you were getting to know each other? How did that work? How did you deal with them and overcome them?
I think, like we were mentioning before, the internet's great, but it's also, there's a room for a lot of misinterpreted communication. Also, because I'm I'm half Japanese, half English, and Danny's a Czech, and Czechs typically are quite straightforward and going like, they'll say exactly what they think. They're not kind of like, I mean, I wouldn't say Danny's a poet. He'll say what he means, and he means what he says. Whereas for me, or for a lot of Brits, it's like you'll want to get from A to B, and you go, by the way, can you do this? Yeah, you want to ask someone to make a cup of tea, and you start talking about the weather first, and you eventually get there. So I was often quite taken aback by Danny's directness, and then interpreted that as him being rude to me, when he didn't intend for that. And then also, like, I'd get annoyed that, like, he, like, on his webcam he'd have it angled, like, up his nostrils, or, like, just little things, like, I was like, you know, I would, like, make sure I look nice and have the camera, hello Danny, and then he'd have it up his nose, and I'm like, what's he doing? So stuff like that, you know, it's unless you're with somebody, you know, you've got the body language, you can say, oh, I know how you're feeling, or, you know, you can interact much more freely, but when you've got this screen, it feels like a conference call, and then it feels quite formal, and then it can feel quite stiff. So, yeah, I would say, I don't know, you say?
Yeah, I think it also, you know, different culture, different background, and as Ruth mentioned, yeah, chicks are very straightforward, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we try to offend someone, but it's just the way how we, you know, talk.
So it's kind of taking that into account and being
into
patient,
consideration,
right?
Which we didn't understand in the beginning. So.
And how's it now? I mean, of course things are better.
I'm not going to lie, we actually argued this morning on the way to church. And I was just thinking to myself, we're arguing when I'm going to answer questions about arguing. But yeah, I mean, it still happens, obviously.
Yeah, we're still working on it, and it takes patience and be kind of understanding. And most of the things coming from kind of, you know, you don't feel personally, on personal level, you don't feel well, or you feel insecure, or you feel upset by certain things, and you just kind of filter it out into your partner.
Yeah, so you'll share your biggest dreams and your hopes with your partner, but equally they can become your punching bag sometimes. If you're really tired, like throughout the day, you'll be patient with everybody else, and then you come home, how was it? What do you mean, how was my day? Or at least, I'm sorry, I can do that sometimes. So yeah, like, I don't know, I guess it's just processing that, isn't it? And now we understand each other better. Like, it's taken about 5 years to really, and living together for like that amount of time to really get how each other ticks, and like what we like and don't like, and what annoys us, and
habits.
So if we had an argument, I'd be like, Danny, I need to talk to you. And I'll sit in the bed like, basically, and like it's like a little meeting on the bed.
I mean, I guess it's really getting to know each other.
Yeah.
But taking into account you're from different cultures, you know, you have different ways to express yourselves, and it's giving each other time, being patient with each other, communicating, right, clearly.
And apologising.
Apologising.
A lot.
Yeah. So just going back a little bit, I know you said your decision to get matched officially just was a few weeks. But talking maybe to our audience out there, what do you think is a good time period to consider to be in the matching process, to get to know each other a bit, maybe become clear on those foundational kind of values? What do you think is a good time?
Yeah. I mean, we waited a year before going to the blessing. So although we'd signed the papers, that was almost like legitimising our relationship, because I wanted clarity in that sense, and seriousness and commitment on his part. But we did wait a year. So in that time, we Skyped a lot, didn't we? Like, all night, basically. And
it was long hours on Skype and Facebook. But I think, those candidates should be more kind of clear, as we outlined previously, that, you know, share kind of similar level of faith and understanding of kind of their values in life.
And spend time talking about that.
Yeah.
Be open, I think. We kind of decided to be really open to one another, so to kind of share openly what our goals and values are, and find a tune.
Yeah. So at least have those conversations, and that might take a few months even.
Yeah.
That's true. Depends case to case, but if you try to be open as much as you can to the other candidate, then you can figure it out, and you can kind of feel whether it's good to proceed further or maybe not. And
to ask them about like their childhood and their upbringing, to get a bigger picture or sense of who that person is, because on face value someone can seem to be a certain way, but once you learn a little bit about their background, then you can understand, okay, that's why they are the way they are, and give them a bit of context, and that's important as well. So we spent time talking about like gave each other our testimonies
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks a lot, guys. Those are all my questions.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Sam.
Sam.
For sharing. Appreciate it a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.